Hi, and welcome to the ADHD Friendly podcast. I'm Patty Blinderman. I'm an ADHD coach and your host focusing on all things ADHD friendly. In today's podcast, which is season 2, episode 3, I'm going to be sharing the concept of a family health binder or a family health POM, POM, personal owner's manual. I'm going to share mine and how I realized I needed a family health binder and how I've used it to support myself over the years in a more ADHD friendly way. I want to begin by sharing the story of how I came to realizing I needed something to support my brain with a little bit more ease. And it started about 15 years ago when I was at a doctor's appointment with my kids, and it was a well child visit. And the pediatrician asked if my child had been to the dentist since the last time they were in to see the doctor. And I just froze. My brain froze. I couldn't think when. I felt like, yeah, they have been, but I could not think of when they were. And I had no way to remember. And this was before smartphones were really something that, we could have data in and access. So I was just really uncomfortable that I didn't know. And I felt like I wasn't a very good mom if I couldn't remember when my kid had been to the dentist last. And it just left me feeling really uncomfortable. So when I went home, I decided that I didn't want to have that happen again. And I grabbed a binder and I just put loose leaf paper in it and a section for each of my kids, just a pocket divider for each kid, and decided I would bring that with me to appointments going forward. And I just took a page out of one of my kids' logs where I just literally wrote across the page, the top of a loose leaf sheet of paper. And I'm just holding this up if you're listening to the podcast, where I wrote across the top the date, the name of the doctor that they saw, if there was a diagnosis that they were given, if they were prescribed medication, and a little section for reactions in case they had any kind of reaction. So I'd remember, because it's something the doctors always ask when I would go back in, did they have any reactions to medications? No, I don't think so, or I don't really remember, so I would say no. Or this gave me a place just to quickly jot it down and have an easy reference while I was at the doctor's appointment. And literally just took a regular binder. This is the same binder I've used for years. I show up for every doctor's appointment, any kind of medical appointment, with my binder in tow. And it just is easy for me to go back and find. If they have a question, I can flip through and find the information that I need because it's all in one place. It also, because I use pocket folders for the pocket dividers, it gives me a place to tuck those they still give, even today, little informational pamphlets. If they get a vaccine, they give you the little vaccine slip. So anything that I need to remember, I can tuck in there. If it's something I need to reference, I have a place to keep it, and it keeps it divided for each kid, so it's more organized. And even for myself to have a record for my own things when I go. So I have a section now for me. It started out for my kids and it turned into more of a family binder. So I have my own records as well that I can easily access and remember. The other thing I want to highlight is I also found, using it from appointment to appointment, I would need to write down questions that I wanted to remember to ask the doctor, because I would either forget the questions I wanted to ask, or they would, we'd come to the point of the appointment where they would say, "Do you have any questions?" No, because I couldn't think of them. So I would say no. And then I'd get in the car and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot to ask blank," whatever it was that I was really wanting to make sure I asked. So I started writing them down on that piece of paper for my appointment that day, so I'd remember to ask them. And over time, I've created a couple of different forms that I started using in place of the loose leaf paper. And so I'm just going to share my latest version of the form. And I'm going to share this as a PDF. So my YouTube channel, ADHD Friendly, is where you'll be able to find the form if you'd like to check it out and maybe try it or make a version of your own to support what you need for yourself or for your family members. And I just want to share, so I have questions to ask and I highlight, and then I always put like a little flag Because what I tend to do is I might write down the questions, but I'll still glance over them because maybe I'm writing down something the doctor said or directions or something else, and I'll forget. But if I put a flag, it reminds me there was something I really wanted to make sure I asked them before I left. And it also makes it feel more urgent, where I give myself permission because I'm like, no, Patty, you really wanted to ask this. You flagged it. So don't leave here without asking that question. Because sometimes my brain, my self-talk will be, you don't really need to ask that right now. They're busy. You can ask that next time. So the flag just makes it feel a little bit more like a promise, a commitment to myself that I'm going to ask that question that I intended to ask. So if you want to experiment with making a health history binder, a family health binder, whatever you want to call it, a family health POM, POM, what would you include in it? How would you begin to just start keeping track of your appointments and medical information for you or your family members with a little bit more ease to make it a little bit more ADHD friendly? So that's it for this week's ADHD Friendly podcast. Once again, I always really do sincerely appreciate your time, your focus, and your attention as I shared how creating a family health binder can support you and your family members, as well as some ideas how to start one so you can use it to make your life a little more ADHD friendly. Until next time, tally ho.